to be just out there and say, well, even though I have the space, I don't choose to give the space. No, I have the time, but I choose not to take the time. Those are all situations because
and that's very profound.
What's best for me may not be best for you.
Right.
But if the shoe was on the other foot, that's what I said, on the other foot. Say if she had been the older sibling, he was the younger, and he was 11. He would have wanted his older sister to take him in?
I would think.
And not say no. I mean, if we reverse because he's the older brother and she's the younger sister, to say, well, I'm sorry, sister. I know, that you're in a predicament because Dad died, Mom passed. So, the voice you going into the system, I can take you in because I'm your older brother, or do we allow an uncle or aunt or a niece,
to come and take you
versus me? And when they asked her where she wanted to go, she said she wanted to go with her older brother and his wife. But because the older brother and his wife had never thought about, or not never thought about it, and not plan on raising kids.
Right, so they made a collective decision to say they wanted to have a childless relationship. And that's what
okay though.
And I think about that sometimes, when you hear about women having these babies, I didn't mean to get pregnant, I didn't mean to sleep with your husband, now what we gonna do? What we gonna tell the child? The child doesn't have any skin in that game. And to put your children in that position to use them as pawns, as orphans, when you're in a position where you can, have to make sure that your brothers and sisters and your nieces and nephews, that they're safe, that they got a good, solid place to stay, And then sometimes when they get older, they're like, I don't want to stay with you. I'm going to the military because I'm 18. I'm grown.
Okay, but that's making a choice at 18.
Right.
He's not 18 yet. He's only 11. And like Steve Harris said, he commented that this is awesome. Because this is something...
That's my brother Steve. Brother Steve. Hey, baby.
Because this happens
to
millions of people that circumstances beyond your control does happen. And I always think, if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ, how could you turn your back on someone else of your own flesh and blood that needs help? I mean,
now some people, it would all depend on the circumstances. It really would, because what if the person, what if it's a drug addicted baby and you don't know how to deal with that?
Okay,
what if it's a child that has special needs? People can find all kinds. Do you know it's over 1 million children in the foster care system in America?
Okay, well then, think about this though. I mean,
they didn't just fall out of the sky. Where are they? Where are the people?
Okay, that's a lot. That's too many people. But the fact that I'm saying, what we don't know is what kind of relationship the wife had with the sister, with her husband's sister before that, because maybe they didn't get along. Not always knowing all of the circumstances, it's easy to make a quick decision and say, well, this is what I think should have happened, or this is what I automatically think that somebody should have took care of them. Well, wait a minute. Is it always that easy? No, it's not. Because you don't know if you get along with them or not.
Right. And you don't know what their temperament is when they're coming to you. If you haven't spent a lot of time with them and learning to adjust to them, and adoption is hard enough as it is. And working to get children that are in the system out of the system. I mean, when we went down that path, and we're thinking everything's gonna be hunky dory, and they were like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't have this, and it seems like they put roadblocks. The system puts roadblocks in the way of people who want to adopt older children.
But they do, and they should, because once again, you have to know the reason why someone wants to adopt a child. It ain't simply just say, oh, yeah, I'll take somebody in, because everybody doesn't always treat these people good just because they take them in.
Right.
So that's why they send you through the training. They have you to do different things so that you can be better prepared to take on this responsibility. I mean, when we were growing up, that was something that people just did when didn't think about.
Wait, when did I grow up? I didn't grow up. I'm not an adult. I'm a adult. I don't do grown up.
Being a adult. I mean, the fact that, when circumstances come out of the blue, that you're not prepared for. You know, more goes into it, and a lot of times we only hear just the headline.
Yeah, and the bits and pieces, or yeah.
The headline said, okay, a brother and his wife had a chance to take his younger sister in to their home because the parents passed. Okay, but did they get along? Did the wife get along with the sister before that? I mean, how long was them two together as a couple? And they decided they didn't want. I mean, at this time they've been together say 5 years, and this was something that they were saying, oh, it's cool. Look how we're grooving together for the past 5 years, because this was what we decided we weren't going to bring kids into the mix. We were just going to be the two of us, which is fine for them. This is an emergency situation that came about, but then you have to look at more than just the headline. It's not just simply that this is a young lady who needs someplace to go, but did she get along with the brother, and his wife? See,
if that were me, I would make every effort to make sure that she was in a safe place, in a good place, and you just never know. She could really, get on her, and they'll become, have that mother-daughter kind of relationship, because she's still young, because the brother's 28, and
she's 11,
and she's 11.
But all I'm saying is that because we do not know,
right?
We do not know,
and you don't know what kind of issues they have
at all. And not to know that, and then to pass judgment and say, well, oh, the wife should have done this, or if the wife, we're considering the wife, horrible, terrible because she's not wanting to do this, when we don't know all the circumstances. You're passing judgment on somebody because what you assume,
right,
that they should be doing. Yes, I could do that without blinking an eye. I believe you could do that without blinking an eye. But that does not mean that everybody else should be able to do that without blinking an eye simply because the circumstances arose. Maybe even though she might want to stay with her older brother, maybe it might be better if she stayed with the uncle, because maybe the uncle would want, because he was.
We didn't get all that detail in
I'm saying maybe the uncle really wants her, and she will find out that staying with the uncle might actually actually turn out to be a better deal than staying with her brother. We don't know all the details.
It is a situation. It is complicated. What is wonderful about it is that somebody wants her. Somebody wants to take care of her, and they know that they will be able to put her and have her in a safe place. And what's so heartbreaking is when there are older kids involved. I come from a long line of social workers, and with children, with adults, with drug addicts, going and getting a pregnant woman out of the crack house, and she's 7-8 months pregnant, sitting up there with a needle in her arm, and having to get with. I have seen this personally. I've seen this with my own 2 eyes.
Okay, I have a question for you though. Okay, knowing that situation, where you see someone who's addicted to drugs, unfortunately, and she happens to be pregnant. Okay, and saying that the system, because a lot of times in most states, if you are a person that is addicted to drugs, that they do not allow you they take the child usually at birth because they got to first get them off the drugs that's in their system because the mother was doing drugs. 2, a lot of times they try to place them with a family member and hoping that eventually that the mother would get clean and sober to the point where she could come in and be able to take care of her own child. But then you also have to look at the other aspects that a lot of people don't look at. If this child is mentally,
has mental health issues
because of her mother doing drugs. Okay, what kind of burden are you about to put on somebody else? And say, okay, well, simply because they're family members, you should be willing to take on this burden, even though it's going to be a hard burden to take on because the child is addicted, to a substance due to no fault of their own.
None.
But they are addicted, and because they may not be able to
advance mentally as a lot of people because they are withdrawing from drugs and they don't know what the body is going through.
And then also, a lot of them, they say, you never have that personal connection. They lose that personal connection gene
Yeah.
that we will want. So they may not be able to connect with you, even though they are family members,
right,
because of the drug use, prior drug use. See, so there are more than one situation, and that if you don't know more of the details, then it's hard to, I think, for anybody to want to pass judgment on somebody because you don't know.
And I remember when our mother was working her very last job that she had,
yeah.
and she and her team were fierce. She didn't play. You know, she would let them know. I mean, and she would. I don't know why they always thought I was the nurturing one, but and look, here I am, mother love, and called mother love. And she would say, baby, I need you to get up. I need you to get up.
They didn't know that everybody else was.
She would say, baby, come on, get up. I need you to come. I need you to come with me. And I'm like, okay, Mom, where are we going? That's all right. And so we would go, and with my winning personality, she would allow me to, you know, kind of work to disarm them from the anger. I mean, I remember. It was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was in the wintertime. And, you know, we got up, and I'm sleeping in the back seat because we went on the other side of town, something, wherever it was. And when she goes in, because I'm not, you know, I don't go into the houses with them, you know, with her. The trained people who know what they're doing. I'm not a social worker. I'm like the babysitter in the car, you know. And back then, babies weren't, they didn't mandate having car seats. So when they came out, it was 2 older kids and 3 younger kids. And I'm going to say like the 2 older kids were like 11 and 12. And the 3 younger kids were like back-to-back babies. So they were like 1, 2, and 3 years old like that. And so we go in, and they're coming out, and it's in the dead of winter. And they're coming out. These kids don't have shoes. The baby got feces all caked on the back of him. When she picked him up, she said when she picked him up out of the crib, it just sounded like all kind of pus was on him. So we get him in the car. We didn't have wet wipes back then. We were using diapers. And, you know, I got the snow, and I got the diaper wet, and I warmed it up, and when I went to touch the baby, this baby jumped like, what you going to do? Like, they didn't know what to do, if I was going to hit him or hurt him or what. And I was like, Mama, what's wrong with the baby? She said, just hold on. Rub his feet like this, just rub his feet. You know, that really helped them calm down. And they got him, she got him, and one of the things she was adamant about was family reunification. And she never wanted to split up families. Right. And you brought up the subject, maybe people don't want them because they might be drug addicted. You know, they couldn't stand their baby mama. You know, they didn't know where the baby daddy was. And these children are put in these kind of awful situations. And it was just, I don't understand how people could mistreat a child.
Okay, but you have to stop. Stop it. Yes, that's why.
And I've been mistreated. And I don't understand how people could do that to a child.
But look at the bigger picture.
I'm looking at the bigger picture.
A lot of people are not willing to look at. There's more than just what's on the surface.
Yeah.
No, there's more to this particular story than what's on the surface.
Of course.
And the fact that if we're not willing to say, wait a minute, let me stop and really look more at the situation and not just say I know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you don't know.
You don't know because all of us are not put in that situation on a regular basis. I mean, the way we have families now, that way over half the families now are living in one family home.
And one parent home.
One parent.
A single family home.
The fact to say, okay, well, if you don't even know the other side,
mm-hmm.
how can you suggest that somebody come and stay with you and they never knew your daddy at all, and then say, well, now come stay with the daddy's mother or come stay with the daddy's brother or sister when you've not even known them prior to this. See, that's what's about knowing all the circumstances and to say, well, if they didn't take the child in, then there's something wrong with them. Well, maybe it's not something wrong with them. Maybe if you looked at the total situation, you would say, wait a minute. They were put in an awkward position to start with.
Right.
Because if they knew that their sibling was on drugs, and which unfortunately has a lot to do with so many of these cases, is that the person is not mentally and physically able to actually take care of their child. And
then you look at the numbers. The millions of kids are in foster care in the system and what have you. There are more grandmothers raising their children, raising their grandchildren. And I remember when we first were talking about adopting kids, fostering and or adoption.